Welcome back. Slightly different video today, because this time I'm speaking from the other side of the table, figuratively. If you've seen any of the other videos on this channel, and let's be honest, there aren't many, you'll know that I usually speak to fellow creatives, namely composers or sound designers, people clawing their way towards something vaguely resembling a career in games. But lately I've been hearing from a different crowd entirely. Game developers. I didn't start this channel to fish for commissions. I'm buried in work already, as you can probably tell from the state of me. These videos were never about self-promotion. For me, they're about nudging others out of the paralysis, whether it's not knowing where to begin, or not knowing how to continue having started already. All the same, developers do reach out, and increasingly so, in fact. The question is always some rendition of, if you're not available, who do I hire? Now, I understand the concern. I've worked with fellow composers who could write jaw-dropping music, but, well, one guy in particular, fuck me. His 40-second ideas were brilliant, but that's all they ever were. When it came to actually delivering, utterly fucking useless. Didn't respond to emails, missed every single deadline, turned up stoned to meetings, when he showed up at all. Every week, a brand new excuse. I mean, you could rely on him for that at least. The thing is, the quality of his music was never up for debate, but the quality of the music is not the be-all and end-all. It's not even the half of it. Being an exemplary practitioner of your craft matters, of course, but being reliable is what actually gets the work done. Consequently, who to hire, how to know when you found them, these are valid questions, and actually they're ones I've written about at some length already. I mean, sod's law. I'll go 2 months without a single paid commission, then I'll land a project that utterly eats me and my calendar alive, and like clockwork, the emails start trickling in. Developers, hoping for a recommendation, unsure who they can trust, and as we've already covered, rightly so. In light of that, about a year or so ago, I put together a short guide entitled, with great flair, How to Hire Audio Professionals. Incredibly catchy title, I know, it practically sings off the tongue. But the important thing is, it does what it says. It breaks down the traits, the habits, the signals, what to look for when hiring a team member to handle audio. So the guide touches on communication, budget, expectations, how to spot red flags before they become budgetary liability, and how to actually get the best from whoever you do bring on board. I wrote it across a few 5 a.m.s in a sleep-deprived, caffeine-rattled haze, but I stand by it. It's linked below. No email, no funnel, no hidden agenda, none of that bollocks. I hate all of that. Just take it and read it. Today, I intend to give you the top-level view. I mean, heavens forbid you read something, especially if you didn't need to. Audio professionals. If you're watching this, all of this is for you too. Because if I'm telling developers what to look for, I'm also telling you what to become. I've already made all the early fuck-ups. You don't have to. Read the guides, and you might be able to sidestep a few of them. Now, I'm not claiming to be some towering industry figure. Far from it, in fact. But I have made a full-time living in this field for over 6 years now. That doesn't happen by accident. On several projects, I was brought in purely to compose or provide sound design. I never asked for more or expected more when signing up. But when direction was lacking and the audio was slipping through the cracks as it often does, I stepped up. Not out of ego, just necessity. So I've coordinated teams, clarified vision, and helped steer projects back on track when they were veering dangerously off it. So when I talk about what makes someone worth hiring, it's not conjecture or bullshit posturing or theory, it's what I've seen work in practice. These, to me, are the minimum standards for those hiring and those hoping to be hired. If you get to the end of this video and you think, that wasn't terribly insightful, maybe there's more in the guide. Ha! No, that's a load of wank as well. In that case, please get in touch, because I definitely need to learn something from you. Anyway, enough. Here's how to hire an audio professional, or how to become someone worth hiring. Right, you're there, in the thick of it, the tricky bit. Codes everywhere, half a script on screen, Slack's fucking on fire, your cat's begging for attention, you've skipped 2 meals and you're dangerously close to a 4th energy drink. And, oh yeah, you still haven't hired anyone for audio. Brilliant. Yet another spinning plate, and one that tends to wobble the second you touch it. You've probably heard the horror stories, or lived through them yourself. Composer vanishes halfway through the job. Sound designer disappears 2 days before the deadline. Or someone hands you 30 minutes of music that somehow feels both wildly generic and yet completely unusable. How do you prevent that? I wish I didn't have to start here, but depressingly, astonishingly, I do. Yes, it matters who you hire, because the audio matters. No, the score won't get people into the cinema. Sound design is not a Steam page magnet. But audio is what makes people stay for the experience. It's a significant portion of what interweaves itself with their memory. I think I used this example in the guide, but how many characters can you name from Jurassic Park? Me neither. But how quickly can you hum the theme? Exactly. Done right, music becomes part of the project's identity. It doesn't just support the visuals, it brands them. Think, well, obvious examples. Doom, Zelda, think the Psycho shower scene. Half of what you remember is the score. It's the same with sound design. If music's the skull, sound effects are the spine. They give your world structure, presence. Sound design provides feedback. A jungle scene without ambience is just a wash of green. A boss battle without impact and the right music is just a weird-looking bloody dance, I suppose. I mean, even silence used right can be more powerful than any ostinato. I'm not going to labour this point any further, so let's move on to the bit people really struggle with. Budget. Before you start shopping around, you're going to need to be realistic about what to expect to pay. Many composers have a tendency to ask for a per-minute rate. And whilst I do understand the instinct, here's my honest answer. It's utterly meaningless. A drone pad and a fully recorded orchestra are not priced the same, nor should they ever be. Audio is not sold by the meter. A great score is not a patchwork quilt of minutes stitched together. It's shaped to the project. It's about logistics, tools, emotional arcs. It's not easily aggregated into a rudimentary per-minute itemization. So when you ask, what do you charge per minute, you're signaling that you don't really understand how this works. And that's fine. You're not meant to know. That's why we have these conversations. If a composer is fairly early on in their journey, charging by the minute actually makes total sense. They perhaps don't have the field experience to adjust to different workflows or project requirements. More experienced composers, however, may only be able to give you a starting estimate. If you're looking for a ballpark, audio usually falls somewhere between 5 and 15% of the overall project budget. That could be even higher if you actually care about emotional tone, immersion, and pacing. As I say, it depends on the requirements. It could even be lower than 5 to 15% if you just want some noise behind a menu screen. The budget indication comes as a direct consequence to the scope. If you're making a 5-minute short film, that's going to be different than a 30-hour RPG, obviously. How much adaptive music is involved? Do you need implementation? Do you want everything to loop, transition, respond to player inputs? Do you need a music system built from the ground up? That's no longer just music, that's design. My suggestion when you're fielding for a composer, define what you think you need ahead of time, then sit down and talk about what you think you need. That way, the composer can give you a more accurate quote. Anyone who jumps the gun and knows immediately, or thinks they know immediately, what they're going to charge, before you've even explained what you need, well, let me frame this differently. When you go to a supermarket, have you ever walked in, gone straight up to the register and said, "What does one food cost?" And then you pay for it, and then you roll in your trolley? And if you have, let me know which one. All right, turnaround time. Want it in 2 weeks? It's going to cost more. Not because of greed, but because of bandwidth. Compressing creativity into an unreasonably short timeline takes significant effort. You can't rush sculpting and expect elegance because you'll end up with bricks. If a project was meant to take 6 weeks and you give someone a fortnight, expect it to cost more. Save yourself some money and plan ahead. Do you want live instruments? Even better, but you're going to have to budget for them. Or budget for a composer who makes instrument libraries indistinguishable from the real deal. That experience, however, will cost you money too. That realism comes at a price, but if you want unforgettable, that's how you get there. So the actual traits. What makes someone worth hiring? Start with the big one, communication. If your composer can't explain their process or listen to yours, don't hire them. If they flinch at feedback or treat revisions like an insult, walk away, fast. Ask them about when they received difficult feedback. Ask them about one time they received difficult feedback and listen to how they frame the anecdote. How adaptable are they? Style is great, signature sound is wonderful, but they need to speak your language, not just theirs. If everything they write sounds like a pastiche of the last project and the one before that, you're commissioning an album, not a score. Check their portfolio, obviously, but don't just listen for genre. Listen for intent, for storytelling, for restraint. Ask how they approached certain creative choices. A good composer should be able to tell you why they did what they did. Still not sure? Ask for a short demo. It could be a minute or less. Base it on a scene or a mood. Now, not everyone offers this for free, but many will, especially if they're invested in your project. If they can't capture the essence of what you're after in 60 seconds, don't write them off. They're probably not going to nail it first try. I don't think I ever have, but for instance, ask them about the emotional subtext that you're trying to communicate. Ask them how they attempted to convey it, how they approached that process. If they flounder or can't explain their decisions, they're likely not going to know how to adapt it to be more in line with your vision either. Now, here's something that doesn't get said often enough. You can negotiate. If a quote comes back and it's above your budget, don't ghost them. Don't send a polite, thanks anyway, but we've gone in a different direction. Instead, ask, what could you offer within this budget? Let them advise you. You might not need as much as you think you do, and they might be able to shape something leaner, cleaner, better suited. Revisions, talk about them early. Most composers include a few, but unless you're creatively aligned before the first note's written, this composer is not going to be revising, they'll be rebuilding from the ground up. That being the case, by right, you should be paying twice. Keep it in mind. Licensing, another thing people overlook. Exclusive or non-exclusive, global or regional. Do you want to own the masters? Talk about it. If your composer can't explain licensing clearly, that's a red flag. You're not just buying sounds, you're buying the rights to them, and you're paying for access to the expertise of a professional who should be able to navigate that landscape. Dear composer, if you're watching and your eyes just glossed over at that talk of licensing, I think you know what your next Google search should be. Finally, look out for ego. We all have one, but the professionals leave it at the fucking door. If this person's going to throw a tantrum the moment you ask for changes or act like every cue is sacred, they're not ready for collaboration. This person's providing a service, not gracing you with their genius. You can't afford to wait for them to grow up. There's plenty out there who have already. Hire them instead. There's a lot more to unpack. We've barely scratched the surface here, but to be honest, I'm kind of sick of the sound of my own voice. The guide is far better structured. It's longer, denser, has more examples, checklists, probably a load of other stuff that I fail to recall right now. I don't know, see for yourself. If you have questions, you know what to do. If you hate the guide, great, print it out, roll it up, sit on it. And next time someone tries to help you for free, I hope you tell them to have the day they deserve. The bloody nerve. Anyway, it's linked below. Again, I won't ask for your email address. It's just a download link on my website. So just go to the page, click the icon, done. No shifty hogwash. I'm not going to data bait you. I hate that shite, and I'm sure you do too. One last thing, and this is important to me, so if you could, please bear with me for a moment. People have reached out to thank me for my videos, and some even asked if I have a donation link. So you'll find my PayPal. That was a joke. That's a highly considerate and thoughtful idea, but no. I mean, if this or any of these videos offered you something for what little something they may have done, be that a clearer perspective or maybe just a handful of the right words at the right time, I don't want anything in return. I don't need clicks and likes. I definitely don't need your money. But if you are moved to give something back, please consider giving it where it's needed. Find an animal charity that you trust, a shelter, a sanctuary, a rescue. Support them however you can. They don't have a voice and they've got no audience, but they do matter. So if this helped you, please consider doing that. I don't need anything from you, they do. Thanks for being here, take care, and I'll catch you next time. Donate to me. Christ, can you imagine? For this one-take sanctimonious shite.